the head of public relations at the West African Examination Council, WAEC, John Kapi, who is joining us via Zoom. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I trust you are doing well.
Very well, thank you.
Good.
I'm recovering from a cold, but I'm fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, and at least we having you this morning. Want to find out from you, from what I read, is that the issue on the ground? Is that what WAEC has found out, that out of every 4 students that sat for the exams failed either mathematics or social studies?
Well, thank you for having me, and good morning to your viewers. Well, the results or the statistics that we've brought out actually indicate exactly what our examiners have told us is the performance of the candidates. We may not have gone into details about, let's say, 1 in every 4 failed in social studies or 1 in every 4 failed core mathematics. But then the statistics that we have put out there is clearly an indication of the performance of the candidates as the examiners have put out there.
And again, if you want to break into details for us, was the failure rate, in which subjects, and maybe other key issues that you'd want to touch on so far as the results are concerned?
Well, usually we would want to remain independent so that we are not overly emotional about the things that are put out there. But then if you look at the statistics that we put out, you realize that there was a dip in the performance of the candidates, especially in core mathematics and social studies. These are the 2 major subjects in which the candidates did not perform very well. We have looked at the preliminary summary of the chief examiner's reports, and then we have a few reasons for which that was their performance. But then when the details come out, we'll be able to tell clearly the kind of responses that the candidates presented by way of these 2 subjects where the candidates did not perform well.
All right. So from your data, is this decline unique to 2025, or it's been a gradual pattern over the years?
If you look at the comparative study, we have 2022, 2023, 2024, and then 2025. It's not a regular pattern. It's been fluctuating, but then this time around the drop has rather been steep, But then if we make we refer to maybe the last 10 years, it's more like a cycle. Unfortunately, I don't have those statistics in front of me here. But then if you look at the last 4 years, obviously this year has been the worst in terms of performance in core mathematics and social studies.
All right, so a lot of people have pointed fingers at teaching quality, learning loss, and the school system. What's WAEC's stand on this? What do you think is the cause?
So when it comes to teaching and learning, we do not have any locus. In other words, we are not able to tell specifically what is happening in the classroom, because that is purely the job of the Ghana Education Service. We may be able to guess from what people say in the public space, but then on our own, we are not able to tell specifically whether it is that the teaching quality is not good, or whether it is that the students themselves have not applied themselves to the work that they are supposed to do in order to prepare themselves adequately for the examination.
Right, but do you also think it's an issue of inadequate learning hours?
If you look at the depth of some of them, especially with the summaries that we've seen from our chief examiners, it tells you that there is a bit of shallowness, if you want, in terms of the kind of material that the candidates present as answers to the questions that we put out there. And then also there's a certain trend that that the candidates are not able to apply the knowledge they have to situations around them. And so it created a certain gap between whatever we wanted and whatever they presented by way of responses.
You made mention of social studies and mathematics. What of English and also science? Did you see any dip?
Well, you could say that for English language, the dip is marginal because it was 69.52 in 2024. It's come down to 69. If you look at integrated science, it was 58.77. It's come down to 57.74. So, yes, there was equally a dip, but as compared to the other two, that is called mathematics and social studies. Obviously, these ones you could say that the dip is marginal or it's, excuse my use of the word, insignificant as compared to the social studies and called mathematics.
Well, is there also that maybe the questions you set from your end was beyond or above the level of the candidates?
Usually, there's a test blueprint that everybody has to use. The subject officers do that in collaboration with subject experts. The questions are written, they are moderated by these people. And so those from academia who join us for the moderating meetings are able to tell us whether the questions are within the scope of the candidates or whether they are above their level. With whatever we've seen, with the reports that we've got from the chief examiners, they tell us that the questions in terms of difficulty level can be compared favorably with those that appeared in the previous years, so that we wouldn't say that the questions were overly difficult. Every subject officer is expected to, work within the test blueprint. You're not supposed to go outside that. And the topics that were set were also topics that we can find in the syllabuses. So really, we wouldn't think that it was as a result of the difficulty of the questions.
All right, so I would like to ask this question for maybe people watching and don't understand what the whole system of questions look like, especially people who have not gone through WASSCE in their lives and maybe are trying to understand it as they watch. How are the questions like? What sort of questions do you put there? Would you say they are, multiple questions that you need to choose, you need to write, you need to shade? What is it?
So there are two parts, especially for the core papers, that is English language, social studies, integrated science, mathematics. In mathematics, you have two parts, that is the objective test and then the written test. For English language, you have three. That is the oral English. You have the essays, summary and comprehension. Then you have the literature bit of it, and then the lexis and structure. When it comes to science, there are three parts. The objective test is there. Then you have the written test and a practical aspect. But this time around, you just provide answers to some practical questions that we put out there. So all of these are put together, and then there's weighting. That is to say that, for example, the weight of the objective test may be lower than the weight of the written test. But when we have an aggregate of it, that is what enables us to grade the candidates appropriately. So in a nutshell, there are areas that you do an objective test, and there are areas where you have to do a written test. That is what the papers usually contain or entail.
Right. In your assessment, who do you actually think bears the larger responsibility for this failure? Is it the parents? Is it the schools, government, society, or the teachers?
That to answer this question, we have to have a holistic view of the kind of candidates or children that we have these days, vis-a-vis the trappings in society. we are all kind of, even adults sometimes are just overly glued to our phones. We are either on Facebook, we are TikTok,
TikTok.
we are on this and that and that. Because if you look at the English report that came out, for example, the chief examiner indicates that there was a lot of pigeon in what the candidates wrote. And they termed something social media language or jargon. There are things that we probably would use when we are on, let's say, WhatsApp, some abbreviations that we use, but we understand each other very well. That is not formal. So it looks as if especially for the English paper, some of them actually could not use standard language. The language was substandard. They could not spell some words very well. They could not also use the standard language to write their essays. These are some of the challenges that they have. So I would say that we would have to look at it holistically from the home, from the children themselves and the way they warm themselves up to the examinations. We also look at the school system and whether indeed there is enough supervision to enable the children sit up and learn. I happened to chance upon some conversations by the Association of PTAs, and somebody indicated that there are instances where there are some of the candidates, once they are registered for the examination, they never appear in school until it is time to write the exam. Now, so there's a lot that we need to look at as a society in order that we can get our children, to focus on their studies and pass well the way we expect them to.
Wow. Kofi Asare, who is the Executive Director of Africa Education Watch, is joining us. But before we engage Kofi briefly, John Kapi, will you want to touch on the cancellation of the results and also some examination malpractices? We understand that some individuals were also arrested, including some teachers or invigilators.
Yeah, so in terms of arrests, we arrested 35 people for various offenses. There were impersonation cases. There were also cases where the photocopied material was being distributed. There were cases where teachers had in their possession mobile phones with which they took snapshots of the questions and put them out there. So there were 35 in all, 19 of which were teachers. We have been able to prosecute about 19 of the cases. We still have 16 that are pending in the law courts. In terms of cancellation, yes, we had to cancel the entire results of a number of candidates for mobile phone infractions. We have also withheld some results for suspected collusion and other forms of examination malpractice. And we are looking to ensure that we're able to finish with all our investigations in order that the results are released. I mean, we publish the rest of the results by the close of the year.
Wow. Beautiful.